We are pleased to be here in this time and place, and we are wanting to be able to offer you something of a way of opening up your mind and expanding your experience of what is happening in the world at this moment for you. And what we would like to do is to certainly we have been eavesdropping about being able to speak your truth and be able to open up and to say things that you choose to say. And you might be questioning what is truth and what is happening in the world right now. And who can I believe? And what do I really want? And do I listen to my inner voice, or is that something telling me to do something or not to do something? And is that my higher self speaking? Perhaps you have asked yourself those questions. When I hear my inner voice, is it truly my inner voice, or is it my higher voice, or is there a difference? And is there discernment between the two? And what we want to share with you is, when you go quiet, when you are still, when you ask the question, when you say it as a statement as well, you can do it both ways. You can sit quietly and ask a question to yourself. And the first feeling or the first response that you get usually is your higher self speaking to you. And then what happens is, oftentimes you might talk yourself out of it. And you might start questioning again, was that really my higher self? Was that really a message for me to listen to? Was that my guide? And then you start discerning and dissecting what the message is. That is when your prefrontal cortex gets involved, and your magnificent brains that you have will try to dissect it and say, was that real or was that not real? And is that something I really want to do? And you start arguing with yourself about, is this really true or not? And is this really the direction that is best and highest for me or not? And when you start that conversation in your own mind, that is when the inner voice starts to get muddied a bit, because that can lead to talking yourself out of what is the best and highest good for you. And we know that many of you have done this before, where you sit still and you ask a question and you get an answer, and then you sit and say, really, is that really the answer? Is this really, let me recheck it somehow. And many of you have different modalities of how to check your inner knowing or check your higher self. And what we want you to hear is to trust the fact that whatever it is, if you say it with a statement and you say it with a question and you get the same answer, to trust that that is the highest and best for all. And one way to really lean into that and to be trusting what the answers are, what you can do is you can always say, I trust the highest and best for all concerned. I choose to allow the highest and best for all concerned in my answers and in my connection. And if you set your intention that way, you can never go wrong, dear ones. You can never go wrong with that way of saying things. Therefore, if you're going to check and recheck what is the real answer and what is the real truth for me, then what we are saying is, when you are still and you ask a question, and when you are still and you say a statement, and the answer or the next response that you get is the higher self talking, especially if you set the intention of, I choose to hear what is best and highest good for all concerned. I choose to know what is best for the highest good in all concerned. I choose to feel what is the best for the highest good in all concerned. And if you set your intentions in those ways, then, dear ones, you can trust that whatever you're feeling or knowing or hearing is accurate. And there are a lot of things that you can hear other than that. In other words, there are a lot of transmissions going on right now through the airwaves. And you can hear it through your devices that you listen to. A lot of transmissions about what is the truth and what is not the truth. And you're also getting transmissions from many dimensional energies saying, this is the truth, and this is not the truth. However, what we want you to understand is that when you are getting a message in your sleep, let's say, when you are in theta state and you are in a very deep state of consciousness, you are connecting with all things at all times. That is why when you dream, it feels real sometimes. And when you dream and you remember it, sometimes it is certainly a message, because many of you are stubborn when you are awake. Are you not? And when you are stubborn, when you are awake, in other words, there are messages and there are communications going on when you are awake. However, many of you do not listen. And many of you are stubborn with, this is not real or this is real. And you are stubborn to say, I don't want to listen to that right now. Or you want to have a guarantee that that is the truth. And when you are dreaming, that is when your connections that you are getting these messages from can freely flow, because you are not in your way as much when you are asleep. Do you understand?
Yes. Makes sense.
Yes.